Hello, my name is David Morrish. I'm a senior academic in fashion design at Sheffield Hallam University in the UK. I'm going to present to you my project, which is entitled Lake Windermere, Am I Still Beautiful? Which is a case study looking into developing an archivable collection as a methodology to engage participants in a collaborative creative art process. This presentation will provide you an insight into my postgraduate research project titled Lake Windermere, Am I Still Beautiful? Which is due for submission in July 2020 for the award of MA in Fashion and Textiles at Nottingham Trent University, hence the reason why there's two universities logos attached to the bottom. The aim of the project is to raise awareness, create debate and conversation through the lens of participation via an organised marathon event in collaboration with a national group of embroiderers. So essentially I'm combining athletics, arts and activism. I'm going to talk a bit about marathon running, what it means to me. It's quite fitting that it's a marathon and it's based in Athens. For me, marathon running, it really is the ultimate test of physical and psychological strength and endurance. It's not something you can do and just get up one morning and run. You have to train for it. But as I run, I try to stay focused, concentrating on my pace, my breathing, water intake, energy intake, posture, motivators. But it isn't that easy. It becomes an internal battle, a war, and a need for strategy application. So the mental and physical battle that goes on in your head calls for strategies for distractions, patterns, counting. I enter various different states of mind where I can focus, I can reminisce, I can plan, I can create, I can dream, I can visualize things. Anything really to take me from the physical pain that I'm encountering at the time and the overwhelming desire just to give up and just stop. Okay, so it is an internal battle and you have to do what you can to get through it. So a marathon event then, I picked, marathon event I view as three distinct elements, all which play their part in the runner's experience and performance. And these three elements include the course itself, and when we talk about the course, I mean the elevation, the terrain type and the weather. The spectators, so people who are on the sidelines, and they bring with them excitement, energy, encouragement, motivation. They can provide food and drink and music and moral strength. And they bring their own enthusiasm and passion to the event, and this adds a different perspective to the occasion. And the runner themselves. So that all comes down to your fitness level, any injuries, your preparation, your state of mind, your motivation and strategies adopted. So those are three kind of key elements that bring this event together. So I wanted my project for my master's, the aim is to create an exhibition or an art piece or pieces that incorporates all three of these identified elements while having a relevant and serious sustainable underpinning. So it's really important in fashion and textiles to address issues in society, and sustainability is a key thing. And that brings with it a fourth element. So could I create some art pieces that brought all four elements together cohesively? Now, when I run around the hills of Yorkshire, one thing that particularly irritates me, is a bugbear of mine, is littering. And I see it everywhere, and the more I see it, the more I'm looking for it, and it's hidden. It's a pollution which can be avoided. So I decided that my sustainable underpinning will be to raise awareness of neighbourhood littering. And initially I started by documenting photographs through photography, litter on my routes around where I live. And I'm part of I wanted to see how big this issue was. So I'm part of a running club, which is an online running club called the Lonely Goat Running Club, with over 23,000 members. So I did a call out, a post on the Facebook page asking for people to take pictures of litter in their area from where they train, where they run, or where they live. And the responses and comments were a lot more than I expected, and people were getting really irate about the problem of littering, getting really angry about it. The images they sent me were really quite interesting, and it ranged from bikes on posts to record players to things like rubbish in car park bays, etc. But interestingly, this came from all over the UK, and I realised that actually this really hit a nerve with people. And initially, I thought, okay, this is interesting. I've got all this research from around the UK. I can plot it, but it was always a problem. What do I do with it after that? And I also wanted to hit a more emotional nerve, if possible. And that's where the idea of entering the fifth toughest UK in a marathon in the UK, the Windermere Marathon. And this then combined my passion for running with to research the problem of littering around one of the most beautiful places in the world. So this is a World Heritage Site for natural beauty, and I didn't know at the time if there was any litter in the area. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, but I thought I'll adopt a strategy where I can research around the whole lake itself and document what I find and where I find it. The route itself is 26.2 miles around the edge of the lake itself, and it also brings in another lake slightly to the left. And roughly around the halfway mark is on the return leg. But the elevation is very, very hilly. But where possible, it is around the lake. So I didn't anticipate there'd be much litter as well around it. So I didn't know if I was wasting my time on pursuing this. But I trained for it over a period of 6 months, and the methodology for gathering the research data, I used my phone, which was connected to a Garmin watch through the Garmin app, and the watch buzzed at every mile mark. So when it buzzed, I stopped and I photographed the litter that was in that immediate area or within roughly 10 meters if there was nothing there at that time. And the camera was used to document that. These then linked to Strava app, which then it recorded all my data, my statistics, my pace, my breathing, the elevation of the land, etc. So I had some really good first-hand research data on the course. And then I brought these into another app called Relive, where I turned this into a video, and I edited the video to add statistics on littering and music to it. And this is how the video turned out. So I gathered a lot of data on this through this event. But for me, I mean, this event did contain a lot of data relevant to the course and sustainability after I'd edited the video. But it didn't really contain enough, for me, enough information or participation from spectators or about the runner, really. So the question really was, how can I bring the spectators' influence and experience into my work, and how can I bring more of the runner, me, into the work as well? And I started looking at a physical representation of what I've just done, and took inspiration from the biotapestry, which is 70 metres long, 50 centimetres tall, and depicts the events leading up to the Norman conquest of England. But what I was fascinated by with this particular piece of textile work was that it spans a specific time frame and focuses on an event. It has impact due to scale and time invested. It had numerous embroiderers all contributing to this over a time period. None of those are credited or known. It's really one cohesive style of embroidery, but it has various techniques applied. And then it was compiled in multiple sections. So I thought, could I apply exactly that approach to the Windermere Marathon to document the litter in the context that it was located? And the elevation of the Windermere Marathon at the bottom here, it actually lends itself to a long, thin format, which is very in fitting with the tapestry itself. And if I adopted this format, then in theory, I'd get across some more about the course. I can get the spectators and sustainability, and a little bit more about the runner, but not exactly how much I wanted. So I took the elevation of the Windermere Marathon, and I started using Google Maps to do a bird's eye view of what is in that actual area, and then plot and identify geographical features, whether it's a lake edge or a road, a river, etc. So I did that for all the sections, and they, in effect, dictated the splitting of the elevation itself. So rather than just vertical split lines, this was creating a almost like a TR pattern cut-in form where they slot together like a puzzle, and that was in fitting with the medals. So I've got the second one; these all slotted together to make one composition. So it's in fitting with what they were doing at Windermere as well. And the idea was that this would all be a cohesive piece of work. The litter, so each area was researched, either first or second-hand research, but each area is split, and the rubbish, I produced a spreadsheet with the rubbish and then key things that were relevant to that particular area, rough element size, and the template shape itself. So this was me planning and organising this piece of embroidered tapestry. And as you can see, the themes varied from sheep that were specific to that area, writers, artists, poets, animals, Beatrix Potter, the author, fly fishing, sawmills, historic, listed buildings, boats, trains, sewage works, hotels, arts and craft house, holiday lodges, garden centres, stained glass windows. So there was a massive amount of variety that you could draw inspiration from. And I wanted to, because essentially I wanted to be able to combine these together, because essentially, a McDonald's cup is a McDonald's cup wherever you find it, is a McDonald's cup. But what makes it special is the context and the surrounding areas. And that's what intrigued me. So I produced archivable boxes, 26 in total. And in that box, it had calico, it had the shape of the template, it had the images of the rubbish, research of the area. And I included in that a handwritten letter by me, which contains my statistical data of the run, but also my emotional, what I was thinking at the time, what strategy I was applying, and what thoughts were entering my head. So it became very much more personal to me. And then to involve the spectators, I worked collaboratively with the Sheffield Embroiderers Guild. So this is like the biotapestry, working with multiple embroiderers. And 20 members of the guild volunteered to take part, and each of them was set the task of combining the litter with the research in their own style, with freedom of interpretation. So the design must fit inside the template, and boxes were chosen at random. So essentially, combine the area with the litter. The volunteers did not know what was in each other's boxes nor how they related to each other. Each embroiderer worked independently on their own piece, and it was permitted that they could add to the research if they wanted to, and no restrictions on applied techniques and colour. Additional cloth could be used. And supporting that, I gave a questionnaire to each one, which really gave a more of a deeper insight into who the embroiderers were. Because I wanted this to be a celebration of styles, of textiles, and I wanted them to bring something to the event, just like the spectators bring their own experience to a marathon. I wanted them to bring something about them into it. So here's a selection of some of the return boxes. Mile Zero, which was Mary Haynes. She had John Constable painting, and she had a McDonald's lid. That was the contents inside her box that she had, and that was a blown up section of the section that she was given. And Mary is quite interesting because she was a marathon runner anyway in a younger life, and so she felt this connection to be part of this project anyway. And Jenny Robson is inspired by the Lake District in a lot of her work, and her box here brought through films and books, The Swallows and Amazons, and she tried to combine the two elements into her piece. And how obvious the interpretation was entirely up to the individual. So at the bottom of this one, you can see the Irn-Bru can clearly and visibly, but on some of them it's not so obvious. So it almost becomes like a quiz in identifying the litter in the actual pieces. But some of them were really adventurous in the embroidery. They applied various techniques, and some of them learnt new techniques specifically for this. Felting was a popular approach because it took quite a bit of space up. But what was really interesting is their different approaches to designing, so sketchbook sheets, etc. So I've tried to incorporate a lot of those. I've asked for those to be put in the archive boxes. Got wire work here for Devil's Gallop, again from Jenny. So some embroiderers had a couple of boxes. Kathy here, she was actually brought up in a sawmill. Her father and uncle owned a sawmill, so she coincidentally got the sawmill, which was pure fate. So she really connected to this on an emotional level, and then pulled in images from her own family and then incorporated them into the piece. So it was quite emotional for Mary. And Jill is a backpacker. She likes to travel. She likes to stay in hostels, and so this at the Lakeside YMCA was just perfect for her. But you can see some of the textiles, different techniques were used, beading, we've got crochet work, etc. And then I did 3 sections. So I'm currently the digital embroiderer of the year, and I brought in very much a technology-driven approach, and really quite abstract. The piece, when all the sections were back, laid out, this was the first time they saw it, so they were really surprised by how they blended or didn't blend in sections to each other. And then I meticulously hand sewed each section. I didn't want a board around each section, so I tried to disguise the seams so it looked like it continuously blended in to each other. And my fascination with technology doesn't end there. So I'm fascinated by 3D scanning, and I used various apps to try and document embroidery, but give it a new element to appeal to a new digital customer. So through Instagram, I was documenting the progress of this. And this is in its current... it's not going to play. Oh, there it is. So you get an idea of what it's currently looking like on a sky backdrop. And the sky itself is a panoramic from Lake Windermere. The piece that's missing there is the lady's currently suffering with coronavirus, so it's had an impact on this piece of work itself. So it gives you an idea of scale. It does span 26.2 foot in length, just under 8 meters, and the start and the finish do go together. But to get an idea of more of the runner in this, I decided that I wanted to bring the medal, I wanted to bring the running into it a bit more. So I decided to get myself 3D scanned in a running pose. And then I used various technologies to create an STL model, and then also a sculptural model in the style of Anthony Gormley. As you can see here, took quite a lot of prototyping and attempts. And the medal is the medal that I was awarded. and bring in some etching on the sleeve. So it's a transparent running mannequin, and it's on a rotating plinth because it goes round and round, a bit like runners who go round and round and round. So the idea is that this sits with the tapestry in the context of the exhibition, and you can just see here how it rotates and catches the light, which really kind of catches people's attention as it goes round. The details on the plinth, so on the ear it's about my stats of my heartbeat, my position, the time, etc. So that's personal to me. And then the plinth I wanted to be almost like almost a tombstone or a trophy-esque. And I wanted to bring another element into this of warning. And I thought about rats and litter and how they're attracted to litter. And it's no more fitting today than we've got an increase in fly tipping in the UK. But rats attract litter, and the Black Death in 1665, the plague started in the east, possibly in China, and quickly spread through Europe. Whole communities were wiped out and corpses littered in the streets. So this is a warning of human actions. And then to tie that, I built these sculptural rats in the style of the Running Man, which each rat is unique. It's got an etching from the box from each individual. So there's a whole lot of rats. The exhibition is meant to be presented in Nottingham as part of my final degree, and the idea was that it's presented in a very much a static exhibition with viewers being able to walk around it, and again by the biotapestry's curvature. So my ideas were really bring the tapestry in a circular, bring the archive boxes out, the videos, and the Running Man in the middle with the rats dispersed. And by doing this, I bring all those digital, new technologies, traditional technologies together, and I bring the course, the spectators, the runner, sustainability, and I bring warning. And that's essentially what my project's all about. It's participatory design, immersive design, co-design, and it's really making an awareness of human action in an environmental society. So please, if you you can follow me on Instagram. I keep posting a lot as it goes along, and it's under the name King Fly Tailing. So that's my project and how I've captured an event and involved others from different perspectives in a creative format. Thank you very much.